Young Gun, a podcast about Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. I am Demetri Lauren, a Bama grad. She is Lauren Brownlow, the biggest Panthers fan I know, and we are looking at the team with a microscope on its new quarterback. And Lauren.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm here.
We have been waiting for this team to put together a complete game, and they looked like complete on Sunday. Like, there is no other way to say it.
No, there's not. I mean, in a way, like, thanks for not teasing anyone.
Yeah.
You know, like, thank you for that. Thank you for not giving anyone the impression that you might win.
Or want to be there.
Like, I noticed people getting about their day.
Yeah. Yeah, I texted you, like, at halftime, I recorded the second half and took a bike ride.
I missed the first half as I was seeing a screening of The Craft. At Alamo in cosplay.
Yeah.
So I missed the first half, and but I saw the entire second half. No, I mean every second of it. Every second of it.
By the way, your cosplay, my wife saw on Instagram and showed it to me and said, "Doesn't Lauren look hot?" And I said, "Okay, I can't acknowledge that." But yes, of course. All right. As always, the show is brought to you by the folks at Graffiti, 158 East Cedar Street in downtown Cary. You probably think of them as a high-end cocktail bar where people get together to throw axes, and they are, but they are also a great place to watch football every Sunday. 19 TVs. They are giving away weekly prizes from their beer sponsor every Sunday, plus tons of specials on bourbon pours. Blanton's is $10, Eagle Rare $9, so is Angel's Envy. McKenna 10-year, Haven Hill 7-year, and Buffalo Trace, those are all $8 a pour. There are plenty of great specials and plenty of great views, and you can still throw axes on a football Sunday at Graffiti. It is a different way to watch the NFL, and we hope you will do it. Graffiti, axes, art, and I can't remember what the third thing is. Let's say cocktails. 158 East Cedar Street in downtown Cary. Lauren, I don't even know why we ask. Bryce had a mixture of too short and very tall and strapping, but the very tall and strapping came when the game was already out of hand, so it doesn't matter.
So it still had short energy to it.
Big time.
The short energy, not all his fault, of course. The Panthers have major short person and energy right now.
Can we talk about Fox putting up that graphic?
I texted it to you because I saw it like almost, I think it was like as it was happening. I rewound it because I kept missing it to try to take the picture. Yeah, they had the height graphic.
Yeah, for people that missed it, Fox put up a graphic that said, the average NFL quarterback is 6'3", and Bryce Young is 5'10", shortest in the league, right? Stuff anybody, you don't even have to watch the Panthers. If you follow the NFL at this point, you know Bryce Young is significantly shorter than other quarterbacks in the league, right?
Well, I mean, to be fair, this is what happens on TV, right?
Yeah.
Like, how often did you hear about Virginia Tech's lunch pail?
Right.
You know, and they would always say it, and they have to, I get it, but they would always say it as if it were the first time anyone had ever talked about it.
Yeah.
It would be like, oh, you know, they have this lunch pail. I'd be like, yeah. Or like when Mike London at Virginia was a cop, and every game they'd be like, do you know, he used to be, yes, we do know.
Hey, did you know Hunter Renfrow started his career as a walk-on?
What?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Jake Bentley, quarterback at South Carolina during that same time. Did you know he should be in high school right now? Like, there were a lot of these.
Exactly. And they just beat it to death. And so, like, obviously it's already a hot button issue with NFL quarterbacks. So, of course. And when he's struggling, it makes it so much easier to put that graphic up. Although I think they'd be doing it anyway, even just to highlight, like, oh, wow, he's short and still thriving.
So here's something that stood out to me watching that when they put that up. This is the second week in a row that whoever doing play-by-play, or in this case, the producer, has acknowledged that the analyst who actually played in the NFL went on an extended diatribe about it's not like he just got short. He has been successful at this size his entire career. And so I get it. You're right. It is the talking point that can, the casuals can feel like they're learning something about football. But the second that goes up, you basically have Daryl Johnston telling the producer he is wasting everyone's time.
Yes, which I did respect that, actually. Like, it was just funny to kind of hear them like talk through it in real time almost. Like, yeah, he's the shortest in the end. And it's like, well, whatever. Like, who cares?
Yeah. The two interceptions in the first half, the one in the backfield that Aiden Hutchinson picked off, I know that one looks worse. I honestly, watching it on replay, can see why he thought he could make that play. It was the interception on the sideline. It was unforgivable.
That was bad. Yeah. That was real bad. You can't throw that.
No. 100%. Before we move on with the show, I think we talked about like how you sort of talk about ChandlerZavala, because that was a really scary period of time. Like definitely. Fox looked confused as to what to do. And I think all of our minds went straight to Damar Hamlin. There's no way it doesn't.
Or and anytime somebody's down for that, anytime the cart comes out, no matter what, it's like, ooh, this is bad. And this could like potentially change someone's life, whatever this injury is. And like when you're down that long, and everyone's praying, it's like, it's not good. But I'm so glad
100%.
He seems to be like maybe not okay, but like
okay enough to travel, to leave the hospital, to go home with the team, all that stuff. I mean, and that's where we're going to leave it until we know more. Like I would guess he's probably not working out this week, attending practice. How could he?
I wouldn't.
But either way, like we'll just leave it at, we're glad it is where it is, and get back to the point of this show, which is complaining about everything regarding the Carolina Panthers.
I'm ready.
I want you to talk about the simplified offense tweet you sent me, or text you sent me, just because you have so much more long-term animosity towards Dave Tepper, and it's earned. Don't get me wrong, it is earned. But this is beyond.
It's not that long-term, to be honest. Well, really the last couple of years, but yes.
Not from the get-go?
No, I mean, did I think he was like a guy I'd want to hang out with? Absolutely not.
Right.
Like, no. Did I ever want to be in a room alone with him? Not particularly. When I hear about the brass, I'm like, you know what? That's cool. Like you do you have your sense of humor. I would not do well with that.
I do want to tell you, when I first heard about the brass balls on his desk, I swear to God, Lauren, my first thought was Lauren Brownlow is going to hate this.
Yeah. I mean, that anecdote was like, I'm already not going to like you as a person. But honestly, all the owners are like, most of the owners are bad people. So like, I don't care if you're a bad person as long as you're good at running the team, as long as you don't hurt anyone else.
Oh, well, Lauren, like, guess what? He's not.
Hence my animosity.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about that story about the simplified offense idea coming from Dave Tepper, because I have some really strong feelings about this.
Originally, it came from a story from Jonathan Jones from CBS Sports, who great friend of our show, even if he doesn't know it yet, because he's my friend and your friend. But anyway, JJ's great, and he knows how to report things in such a way where he's not going to come right out and say like the Panthers, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like he's going to make it seem like indirect, but that was something that was coming out after his piece came out, that they wanted to simplify the offense for BryceYoung, was that like that's coming from David Tepper. And I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Is that the football coach? That's weird. I thought they hired someone and paid him a lot of money to be the football coach. So like I'm confused by this. And also, I'm sorry. Can we just address this for one moment? We've all seen this offense all year, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How much simpler can it get?
Is he borrowing a middle school playbook from nearby? What are you talking about? Like, what exactly needs to be dumbed down here?
He wants to go back to that goofy cartoon of how to play football. That is all just hand the ball off, run forward. It's a scrum. We're going back to rugby with the Carolina Panthers.
Going back
to your point, what you said about didn't he hire people and pay them a lot of money? This goes back to something that Joe Ovies and I talked about on the midweek talk through, is the difference between the early days of Tom Dundon owning the Canes, where it was like, does this guy know what he's doing? Versus Dave Tepper is that at some point Dundon realized, let the hockey guys worry about hockey. And Dave Tepper does not seem to have that in him at all.
No, absolutely not. I don't know how someone on the Steelers didn't end up like kicking his ass at some point.
Yeah.
Because like he doesn't seem like the type of guy that a lot of people around like in Pittsburgh would be super cool to just be like, all right, we're going to let this rich dude tell us what to do. Like
this is the thing that I think is worth asking. Is this a acting out kind of thing of, now I have majority of control of a team, there is no Rooney family to tell me I can't behave this way?
I think that's probably part of it. I also think maybe in Pittsburgh he did sit back a lot more, and he has always treated his time here as if he is some messiah coming 100%. From a magical land where he is coming to bring us all of these gifts.
Yeah.
And frankly, that's a big place my animosity comes from. He's extremely condescending to people who live here. I don't think he respects any of us at all. And I don't like being talked down to, quite frankly. And like, also, again, you know what? I just want to be like, hey, you own the team. Just coach them yourself.
Yeah.
Like, stop wasting everyone's time.
Big
I want to see it. One of these owners, like, just call the bluff. All right, Jerry Jones, you go ahead.
Didn't Ted Turner do this with the Braves?
I mean,
for a while.
I feel like something like that. I mean,
he did.
Again, like, if you don't get to be like that kind of dude without having a huge ego,
of course,
probably far more outsized than it deserves to be.
There
right?
is,
but like
we're not quite at Emperor has no clothes yet on Tepper, but we are at the place where it's like, hey, the Emperor constantly is dressing like a tablecloth at a barbecue restaurant owned by Dolly Parton. Like, it's embarrassing. We have to take this guy seriously because all the decisions go through it.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. And like, and also, and I mean, P.S. I have no problem. I know people have come down on his wife pretty hard because, like, oh, she has a say in things. Okay, why is she any less qualified than him? I was about to say, how do we know
she's any less qualified?
How do we know she is? Y'all all feel like you're more qualified than him. Why wouldn't she be more qualified?
100%.
And I mean, it sometimes feels like they're choosing people. Like, it also feels frustrating because it feels like they're making like personnel decisions on vibes.
Yes, 100%. They're making personnel decisions on vibes.
I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What? Oh, well, we got great vibes from. Okay, cool. Like, I'm not saying Bryce Young's the wrong pick. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, oh, we got great vibes. They got great vibes from him. That's the reason you're picking him.
Listen, look at the other two first round or top 5 quarterbacks. And
that's
right?
the issue, right? That's why Bryce
is certainly the one that the balding middle-aged white guy would feel the most comfortable with. And I say 100%. That as a balding middle-aged white guy that loves Bryce Young.
Yes.
I know my own.
Right. I think there's probably something to that. I mean, he seems very sweet and kind.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure he's lovely. So I get it. He'd have great vibes, but like, there are lots of nice people that, it's that kind of stuff though, right? Yeah. It's like, and then he always acts like he wants to outsmart everyone. And it's like, do you not know that no owner is considered smart?
He doesn't act like he wants to outsmart everyone. He acts like he already has.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, he doesn't realize because he thinks we're all dumb.
Right.
Like, he thinks his little, like, the statements he makes or whatever are like charming us and that we're so fooled by him. Right. No, we all think you're like the more you speak, the more we think you don't know what you're actually doing.
Right.
And you're one of those owners yet again that has to try to like prove he was good at Madden or whatever, or like prove that his high school football coach did him wrong. Right. And he really, it's just so stupid. Like, live out your fantasy some other way. You make billions. You could pay someone to play like a fake NFL game with you.
Yeah.
And you could coach a fake NFL game. You could pay that. I'm sure people would do that for you.
Yeah.
Like, just get it out that way, man. I'm over it.
Don't forget, we are on Origin Sports every Tuesday night at 7. That's right. We are on TV on Origin Sports, Raycom's Fast Channel. You can get it on a variety of services, Samsung TV Plus, Roku, Amazon Freevee. It is everywhere. So be sure and join us every Tuesday night at 7 when this show drops. And then do us a favor and go to wherever it is you get the full version of the show, YouTube, iTunes, wherever, and not only like and subscribe, but also take time to leave us a comment. That is how more people go about finding the show. Lauren, I want to turn our attention to the last Panthers quarterback that in unison we all felt good about. And that is CamNewton, because he was a guest this week on RG3 and the Ones. That is Robert Griffin III's new podcast. And he was asked point blank, what is the issue with Bryce Young right now? How do you feel about Bryce Young being on the field right now? And here's what he had to say.
What do you think Bryce Young needs to be the best he can be in Carolina?
Leadership. I don't question Andy Dalton. I don't question the ownership. But the best thing, even for me, when I was a young rookie, was leadership. What do you want from Bryce? Because if I was in a position, I would have to say, let me console with him to say, are you ready? Do you feel comfortable in playing? There's something to be said about Tom Brady's evolving. There's something to be said about Patrick Mahomes evolving. We expecting instant grits when we should be waiting on Thanksgiving meal and preparation.
I was so proud of him that he nailed the metaphor there. I was like, because I kept waiting. I'm like, instant grits, but I'm like, oh, he's going to say something like, it's the buffet or something. I don't know. It's just going to be slightly wrong, but he nailed it. He nailed the metaphor.
And I don't think he is wrong, although I will tell you, I kind of hate this, he should get a year to learn kind of mentality, because it does take the onus off of the fact that the play calling is bad. The roster is bad. And I'm not saying that Bryce Young would be different on a great roster. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I just think that completely overlooks that the problems would be the problems for any rookie quarterback right now in Carolina.
For sure. I mean, I think it's hard, right? Because you want him to get reps. You want him to become comfortable with the speed of the game, things like that. They're 0-5 at this point, so who cares?
Right.
And maybe I mean, they probably will act like they do. Yeah. Right. And they'll, but they should just, if they're smart, which that's given a lot
that's
of
a big,
making a big assumption there.
Yeah.
But they should sound like, you know what, just go play.
Yeah. Just
go play. Like, relax. We're 0-5. What's the worst that could happen? We win some games? Cool. Yeah. Like, and you get comfortable? Great. Like, take some pressure off the dude, man. Like, he's already feeling it in part because, like, obviously this stuff's happening around him. The offense is terrible. And then you look around and the guys drafted right beneath him are thriving. Yeah. Right now. Yeah. So,
I talked about this with Sean Salisbury when he was part of the midweek talk through of when you're making that leap up a level, high school to college, college to the NFL, whatever. Is it harder on kids that are considered like elite? Whether that is physically, in Bryce's case, the mentally. And he said, he thinks he has seen enough evidence that it probably is that if you just say, hey, just go out there and play your game, and he's averaging 2 interceptions a game, like that could set him back forever. Like, I think that we are all of us.
I'm not saying like don't guide him. I'm just saying I tell him to relax.
I understand. I think that my problem with this idea of, just let him sit, like it so simplifies what is going on. This is the most difficult position in American pro sports.
I think some of what Cam was getting at was more along the lines of like, you can't just expect these things to happen. Like, quarterbacks take time. Like, what those quarterbacks are doing is not the rule. It's the exception, to be honest. Like, maybe they have a good game here and there, but they probably have more bad ones mixed in with it. And I'm sure they still will. Like, they've got time, but at the same time, like, that's just part of being a rookie, to be honest. I think the only like questionable part of it is we haven't seen Bryce have the up game. Yeah. Like, we're still waiting for that.
I mean, you could argue this was the up game, and that's not good.
No, because here's my problem with arguing this is the up game. Okay. They were down 25 points when anything started happening. Right. And it was very clear Detroit was like not as aggressive. Yeah. So for me, and that's what makes it hard too, because like, he's getting reps, but he's also getting like when he's having success, he's getting garbage time reps. Yeah. So it's almost like an illusion.
Yeah. In a way. I think that's fair. Robert Griffin III on this podcast said that he thinks the biggest issue is pretty simple. There is no number one receiver in Carolina right now.
There's 3 number 3s.
Yeah, that Bryce can always know is there for him. Yeah. Who you calling the 2?
I think with a dynamic 1, Thielen would be a good 2. Thielen could be a solid 2.
Okay. I don't know that.
Just because you can trust him.
That's not who I thought you were going to say, honestly. I thought you were going to say Chark.
I'm sorry. Like, no, until he caught the I've barely seen him.
Yes, so I agree with you.
He's probably great. They're not using it. Like, they find he caught a touchdown. Great. Again, like, awesome. Yeah. I'm glad that he did. It was I thought it was a great play. Honestly, it was a great pass. Yeah. Catch, all of it. Good. But I was still like, oh yeah, he's on the team. I shouldn't be thinking that.
No, you absolutely shouldn't. Here's Cam's response to the idea that Bryce does not have a number 1 receiver. And Lauren, I know you love Cam dearly. This infuriated me.
Uh-oh.
I think they tried to do it by committee with Thielen and Clark, but I put it like this. They have a team that could compete if Bryce Young was 5 years in the league.
I do love that he called DJ Chark Clark.
Yes, me too.
But B, no, they don't.
Right. I mean, I think, like, look, here's the thing about Cam, because you and I talked about this before the show a little bit. You could say a lot of things about Cam, right? And he is most of them. One thing he is that people don't talk about very often is he's kind of a management guy. Yeah. Like, you have never seen him come out and say anything negative about the way he was treated by the Carolina Panthers. I mean, you could make a case.
And he would have a right to.
Yes. You could make a case that they ruined his career, quite literally, with the way they handled his shoulder injury. Now, to be fair, Cam is often working against his own best interest as well to win football games. That's always who Cam's been. So even if they told him to rest, I don't know, maybe he fights it, whatever. I know he's been, he told to rest and he said no before. But at the same time, like, the way it was handled, just top to bottom, it was not handled well. He was not treated well here at all.
100%.
He would have every right to be coming out complaining, all that stuff. He has said nothing. Mm-hmm. So, like, if he's not going to say, he's not going to question management for stuff like that. Like, I don't see him being like, oh yeah, they need weapons. It's just not, it's not his vibe. It's not Cam's vibe.
I mean, I hear you. I hate that about Cam because
I do, because I'm like, stick up for yourself.
Yes, because one thing we agree like about Cam is he is so unapologetic about who he is.
Yes.
He should be the guy
and
saying.
He is straight up one of a kind, that
yes.
dude. Like, never seen anybody like him. I know I never will again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not wrong about that at all. So we mentioned the midweek talk through episode. That happens every Thursday. It is the second episode of this show you get each and every week. This week, my guest is going to be former Dallas Cowboys head coach Dave Campo. That is a guy that has some experience dealing with a meddling owner, I would say.
100%.
So Dave and I will talk. You will hear that on Thursday on your podcast feed and here on YouTube. That will not be on Origin Sports. Let's talk about the NFC North, Lauren, because a couple of Panthers related things happened this week. First of all, I'm not trying to soothe.
Fine. Whatever.
I'm not trying to soothe the Panthers had a bad game. You can't get over that. But given what the NFC is this year, am I crazy for thinking that Detroit might be like Super Bowl good?
I love this, by the way, because I find Detroit to be very lovable.
Sure.
Like, I was even tweeting with the Lions fan. I was like, I hope you guys do well. I really like you. And I usually don't say that about almost anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm angry inside and bitter. But the Lions, I mean, Dan Campbell, like, that's the dude who like cried, his first year. I mean, it hits you in the feels a little bit. You're like, oh, that guy seems like a good dude. And I'm glad they're having success. And I want good things for them. I've also been watching the NFL long enough to know that Lion's gonna lion a little bit.
Sure.
And so like, I hope that doesn't happen, obviously, but it's always got to be out there as a specter.
Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl in his third season in the league, and he's so much better now.
He looks great.
And
I would have never thought this, by the way.
He's doing this with, all right, so Jameson Williams came back this week after his gambling suspension. You saw what he's doing with Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
David Montgomery has had this career resurgence. Like, you can feel good about all of the weapons because either they are young, they found some sort of resurgence, or they are making good on mistakes they made before. Like, I like this team a lot.
I do like them. I like them very much. Do I trust them? No.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
And the idea of like putting a rooting interest even casually into them does scare me a little.
Sure. I think that San Francisco and Philadelphia are way ahead of the rest of the NFC.
Definitely.
But I didn't feel like Philadelphia was way ahead of the NFC last year, and they ended up in the Super Bowl. So I'm not dismissing the idea that Detroit could be there.
I would love to see it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it would be so cool. I mean,
agreed.
Who wants to see like the same teams that are always there
like,
year in and year out?
The year that like we got Pittsburgh from the AFC side and then Arizona from the NFC side? Like, we've experienced
that would have been way cooler had it not been the way it happened.
Oh, that's right.
Too soon.
Sorry. Apologies.
God, that game happened. That was the Delhomme 7 turnover game, right? That game happened on my mom's birthday. I'll never forget it.
Oh.
I was so mad. I was furious.
All right, let's talk about the other thing. DJMoore.
Okay, fine. Whatever. It's fine. I know. I get it. They leave, they thrive. Add him to the list.
I want to bring up a tweet from somebody.
Although, actually, this is kind of a new thing for the Panthers, if we're being honest.
What is that?
Offensive weapon. I feel like it's newish, like an offensive weapon leaving and thriving.
Yeah.
Like, think about some of the bad wide receivers they've had on their roster. Those guys, it's not like those guys got cut and thrived elsewhere. That did not happen.
Very fair.
They were or whatever. They didn't get, trade, whatever it was. Like Steve Smith, of course, he was going to thrive wherever he was and, did well in Baltimore for, a couple years and then they retired. But like, that hurt me.
Yeah.
That hurt me to watch him.
I remember.
Just because it was in another uniform. Like, it wasn't, I didn't blame him. I understood, but I was like, it hit me right in the feels. So DJ, I didn't get attached to you on quite that level. Obviously, I mean, Smitty's like my favorite Panther of all time. So, it's high bar to clear. But yeah, when you see those, and especially like, here's the thing too, especially like for the Bears, I think that's what makes it worse. It's not even the DJ Moore part as much. It's like they got our draft pick because they're smarter than we are.
Of course.
They have had an awful offense. And now all of a sudden he's getting numbers like that.
8 catches, 230 yards, and what was it? 3 touchdowns?
Can you imagine? Like, if a Panthers wide receiver did that, I think my head would explode.
Yeah, agreed. So I want to share a tweet with everybody.
Okay.
Taylor Dahl is a good friend of mine. I worked with her at the radio station she works at down in Jacksonville. I adore Taylor. Now, Taylor's rooting interests are the Chicago team.
Sorry.
Right? Yeah. Don't worry. The butt's coming. Her rooting interests are the Chicago team. She hosts a podcast called Making Monsters, which is very much about the younger Bears, right? She put out a tweet on Thursday night. that said, Panthers fans told me he wasn't a wide receiver number one.
What? Who
LOL.
said that?
And I tweeted back to her.
Which ones?
I tweeted back to her, I love Taylor. Genuinely one of my favorite people in this business. But absolutely no Panthers fan told her this.
Yeah, sorry. And file that under things that never happened.
I don't believe it for a second.
Here's the thing, too. Like, I think this is also one of those major market condescension types of deals. Like, we're not all backwoods hick idiots. All right, y'all. We
just the majority of us.
I'm not saying there aren't some amongst us, but y'all have dumb fans too, just because they don't speak with a Southern accent.
Right.
Like, I'm like, come on, no one said that to you.
Yeah.
No, if anyone said that to you, they were on drugs. Like,
right. Like, I totally believe that there are Panthers fans that said this is worth giving up for the number one pick.
Yes.
Totally believe that.
Not one of them, me. Yeah. But that's fine. No one asked me.
I would tell you that I think the majority of the conversation this season has been about if you were drafting BryceYoung without DJMoore, why were you drafting BryceYoung?
And honestly, that was my biggest question mark coming into the year. And then it's like all of a sudden, lo and behold, that's a problem?
Yeah.
Who could have foreseen? I don't know. Just me, regular civilian person not being paid millions of dollars. This is why I want to run my head into the wall every week. I'm like, how are you like this? Why?
Yeah, agreed.
So sorry. Oh, I'm hot now. Oh my God.
All right, Lauren. So obviously the focus of this show is BryceYoung and the offense, but I think we have to look at the defense and acknowledge it probably was one of the worst performances of the year, if not the worst.
Yeah, I do think it's one of the better offenses they faced. So there's that, and it's fine. But let's be real, the run defense has been a concern
for sure
all year. They have gotten much better pressure on opposing quarterbacks. We've seen that. And I think too, the injuries are really just starting to kind of pile up.
And so to your point about they have gotten pressure on opposing quarterbacks in the first half, that's what really stood out to me about, this is a bad game.
Because they weren't.
Did whatever they wanted. 5 drives, 4 of them ended in touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, and look, I am always flummoxed by this at whatever level of football, because I've seen all kinds of teams do this. The amount of cushion they are giving opposing receivers, I just don't understand.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the cornerback depth issue too. I don't know. I know they're down to fewer cornerbacks than they like to be at this point, fewer defensive backs in general that are healthy. So I'm sure that plays a little bit of a role too. And I guess Detroit does have some dangerous guys that can get behind you for sure. So I can kind of see that too.
Yeah. Look, that's why.
And this team cannot handle an oopsie score that you
100%. Look, Jameson Williams coming back in this game is exactly what you talked about. He can get behind you. Yeah. They drafted Jahmyr Gibbs to do the exact same thing coming out of the backfield.
I feel like this is one of those things too, where the team is symbiotic, right? Where if you have a bad offense, it impacts the way you can defend.
Yeah.
It just does. You can't go crazy after the quarterback and take risks on defense, because then you might give up a score, and then your offense, they ain't going to score more than once.
Right.
More than, okay. We'll just need 3 field goals to make this up. Cool.
6 touchdowns for Detroit compared to 2 punts.
Yeah, I saw the first punt, and then they said it was the first punt because I didn't know that yet. I hadn't settled back in yet, and I'm like,
It was on back-to-back drives. It was almost like Detroit needed a break. Because the back-to-back drives they punted, then they just get right back to being a scoring machine. The thing that I think, and again, we'll tie in the Bears here, David Montgomery was washed by the time they signed him. He's not Barry Sanders, and that's what it looked like. To your point,
it's
the run defense is a problem.
Before this week.
Yeah.
So, we saw against Minnesota, I feel like some larger holes than you would want to see running backs running through, and that's not great. If you can't stop the run in the NFL, you can't. You're done. You're toast. So, I don't know. I saw enough good things earlier in the year that I'm at least optimistic that they can stop and limit bad offense.
Yeah, and that's why I want to emphasize this was their worst game. I don't think it's a lost cause, but this was really bad by comparison to what we've seen.
It was. And honestly, I'm at this point, and I don't know if you saw FrankReich after the game was look, he mentioned BrianBurns specifically and was he's been around the league a long time. He's a great player. He deserves better than this.
Yeah. And
I was like, it's weird. Can anyone do anything about that?
Well, but see, this was the thing too, is because I want to say they pointed this out in the second quarter. Man, the offensive line for the Lions handled Burns. Like they didn't let Burns have, or actually, let me rephrase. There was one time Burns got around his guy and he was coming back in from behind Goff and they got to him immediately.
Oh, okay.
Like they shut him down. And listen, I agree with Reich. Like BrianBurns is really good. BrianBurns is better talent level than this team deserves right now. But when even he cannot break through and make a play,
make a big difference, right?
There is just something off about the defense, and maybe you're right. Maybe it is as simple as the injuries are piling up.
I think the morale is probably. I mean, it would be for me. Look, I'd be like, for what? What's the point?
Yeah, and look, we can't dismiss like the Zavala injury probably changed the mood of the sideline for a while.
Yeah, I'm sure that
it probably took some people's focus away for a little bit. But this was a bad game, and all you can really do, like top to bottom, bad game on both sides of the ball. All you can do is bury the tape and not talk about it again.
Like I'm not remotely in panic mode with them yet. Not that it even matters if they're good. Like that's the thing. And that's what I wonder if they're feeling.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, you just go, well, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, so they're the last winless team in the NFL, right?
I'm aware. Yeah. Yes, they are.
But at the same time, you know, they haven't had a performance the way that like the Cowboys did against the 49ers this week. They haven't had a performance like,
well, this was close.
This was close, but they haven't had something like the Broncos against the Dolphins.
I don't know. Monday night was pretty embarrassing though.
Monday night was really
pretty
bad.
That was the low.
It was really bad, but
even though this game was like scoreboard wider disparity, that game was more embarrassing because of the way it played out.
I wonder though if people in Denver looked at that game the way we look at 70-20.
Oh no, I don't think you can.
And that's one of those things. Agreed.
On college, even college.
Agreed.
Like, Clemson got 70 hung on them. That was like a program-changing moment for them because they were like, well, that's unacceptable. That can never happen again.
And look, there is a spotlight on the Cowboys the way there will be on no other organization.
So do we laugh when they get blown out? Yes.
Yeah, but see,
collectively,
those blowouts or those two individual things feel so much worse than anything the Panthers have experienced this year. But there's no denying that we are a worse team.
Oh yeah,
and the reason for optimism is scant compared to those two, even though there's not a lot of reason for optimism in Denver.
Should I ask for people to submit reasons for me to feel optimism that I can't refute?
You know what? You have a comment section under the video on YouTube.
Yeah.
You have a comment section on every episode of your. I mean,
well, I
what is it?
Maybe you can tell me what the comments say that are.
I'll be
my
happy.
question.
I'll be happy
thanks.
to look at.
I don't.
A lot of them are. I'm sure you make good casseroles. You are probably
maybe a sandwich request or two, because that's very original. I mean, I love sandwiches, so I'll make some recommendations, but I ain't making you anything. I don't even make my own sandwiches.
By the way, I'm at this point now where my daughter would rather skip any meal that I make for her and just make herself a sandwich. And I am more put off by the lack of originality of her sandwiches than her not wanting my cooking.
Okay, to be fair, you would not like the way I eat. I go sometimes months at a time eating the exact same meal for some meals.
Yeah.
Like months.
Yeah.
Like I have eaten hummus and carrots for my first meal every day for probably 4 months now.
I'm only on like a 4 different item rotation for breakfast. And it's all some variation of eggs and sausage.
Yeah, no, for sure. But like I get in these, like, if I find something works for me, I'm rolling with it. We're riding that thing out, baby. Yeah. No, the other night I made this, I made like a hash brown and bacon casserole, like, breakfast food like my daughter likes. And she would rather have had just, turkey and mustard on stale ass bread. And I was so offended. Well, the mustard is offensive for me.
I enjoy a good mustard.
Yeah, I only like mayonnaise, which I know bothers some people, but I don't care. Proud mayo aficionado.
I mean, why continue the show at this point? We're so put off by this team. We're talking about condiments.
That's a great question.
All right. I'll let it there.
Carolina Panthers, the mayonnaise. No, they're not even the mayonnaise.
No, they're not even the
mayonnaise. Is good.
No.
Okay.
They're the soggy
something
bread.
No one likes.
They're the mustard water of teams.
Yeah. Oh, that's gross. They're hot dog water.